meeting to order. Let's all rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We all remain standing for a moment of silence for our fallen first responders and military personnel. Thank you. Be seated. We'll start with introductions tonight. Mr. Grice, you're the one that's holding down the end of the table tonight.
Grice, DPW Director.
City Clerk.
Jerry Link, City Council, sorry.
Ellen Glass, City Manager.
Mike Builder, City Attorney.
Brad Dick, Mayor Pro Tem.
Tom Hicks, City Council.
Denise Miller, City Council.
Brenda Simons, City Councilor.
Thank you all. We have Pam Howard is absent tonight, and Mayor Armstrong is also unable to be with us. Make motion to excuse our absent members.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have a special presentation tonight, the US 23 quarter study presentation by Cheryl and ROWE. We've got
Yep. And tonight we have Jacob.
Jacob,
Howard, actually.
too.
He'll give us a little intro.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen, thank you, Brad, and Commissioners.
Your mic.
it's a green.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
All right. My name is Jacob Mauer, Division Manager with the Genesee County Planning Commission. Just want to give an introduction to our study that we've been working on over the last couple of years. Back in 2023, we began that study on US 23 as well as some surrounding traffic corridors. Every few years, we're able to study specific corridors around Genesee County that will help us identify future needs of our transportation network. US 23, and I'll mention some of the previous projects are like the Door Highway Extension, as well as Miller Road and a lot of the major corridors in the county. But this is one way that we can help identify improvements that are needed and coordinate on regional projects that comes along with land use, housing, water infrastructure, all leading to a better overall community quality life. So I just want to say that US 23 freeway serves an important role for the movement of both people and freight. Currently, the corridor experiences intermittent congestion, as we've all experienced, right? Those unexpected delays, and I think we can all agree that southern Genesee County is growing, and what we wanted to do is how do we plan for that appropriately and be able to make decisions together, not just in one community, but from a regional standpoint, and address some of those issues that we know about before funding gets invested into the corridor. And not just US 23, I'm talking interchanges, parallel roads, and so on. So overall, the project has been managed by the Planning Commission, and we've received funding through MDOT as well as the Genesee County Board of Commissioners to do this project. And I'd like to introduce Cheryl Gregory from ROWE. She'll be going over the details of the study, but it's been great having ROWE and Cheryl on to lead this project the last 2 years.
Good evening, everyone. I understand that there's materials in your agenda packet about the study. We'll miss some of the animations, so there might be a couple things that are overlapped in your hard copies. I'll talk through those slides though, and if you have any questions, please interrupt me. Again, my name is Cheryl Gregory. I'm with ROWE Professional Services Company. We've been managing the study now for about a year and almost a year and a half, coming very quickly to an end and wrapping up the final deliverables. Next, please. This is one of the slides that unfortunately is overlapped. So just an overview for those folks who might not be familiar with this study. It is in Genesee County, the southern part of Genesee County, basically from the southern county line, northerly up US 23 to Bristol. And the Bristol Road interchange is not included in the study. It was previously studied under previous MDOT study when they did I-69. So it does technically go up to Bristol, but we don't include that interchange. It travels immediately through City of Fenton, Fenton Township, and Lundy Township. Obviously, it doesn't go right through Linden, but it's close enough that it certainly is gonna affect y'all. So, appreciate the opportunity to share this information with you today. The study limits about 13 miles. It also includes all the interchanges that are listed there: Hill Road, Grand Blanc Road, Thompson Road, North Road, and Torrey Road, Silver Lake Road, and then Owen Road. But also it includes a 1 mile reach east and west on each of those local streets. So a 2 mile segment essentially on the local streets. And the study included looking at how we can improve the corridor progression, traffic progression on those corridors, safety improvements, non-motorized improvements, and potentially access management improvements. Next, please. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, one back.
Pepperoni and cheese.
The map behind the study limit graphic just shows the boundaries, the urban boundaries, and it highlights US 23 and how US 23 is actually part of the segment of the study, is actually part of the urban boundary for the Flint urban area. But obviously US 23 goes right down to Brighton and Ann Arbor. So to Jacob's point, a lot of commercial and commuter traffic along this route. So very important corridor, and NDOT is very interested in making improvements within the US 23 corridor, as well as the county making improvements to the local interchanges and the local streets. Next, please. So our study team included a steering committee that was comprised of several agencies, directs, as well as other stakeholders. So the city agencies are listed there, including the City of Fenton, the communities, MDOT, Genesee County Road Commission, the Flint MTA, Mass Transportation Authority, Bishop International Airport, and then obviously the Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission. Other key stakeholders were included, LAF, Pathway Group, schools, General Motors, and then the public, the general public. We actually conducted a public information survey, a public input survey last summer. We had over 400, almost 450 respondents, with 300 respondents taking the time to add comments, added over 350 individual comments. So this is all uploaded to, we have a website. It's on, there's a link to it on the Metropolitan Planning Commission's website. This is US 23 corridor study. It's a work in progress. Some of the pages aren't done yet, but all of the survey data is up there. So if you're interested in seeing specifically the questions and the actual comments, we've got them categorized by corridor. Very interesting. Interesting to see how folks rated congestion and traffic safety, maybe lighting and streetscaping, what they rated as very important versus less important. Next, please. So the community stakeholders were specifically asked to answer a few questionnaire questions about what was important to them. Linden noted when they responded that the project scope should include discussion on how residents from Linden are impacted by roads leading to US 23, obviously. You guys also let us know that you have a recent partnership with the Drain Commission for water main, and that was helpful because one of the things we're looking at in the study is where the likely utility improvements will be on which corridors, since that helps drive development. And then the opportunity, your community has opportunities for housing, mixed-use development, and safe routes to school projects. So, especially with the non-motorized, this study will highlight those areas where you might have opportunities to connect with your adjacent neighbors. Next, please. Part of our study included extensive data collection and review. So this slide is showing a number of existing planning documents that have already been done. We didn't want to recreate the wheel. We wanted to make sure that we looked at what already has been planned, and make sure that we recognize that and acknowledge that so that it's woven into what our final recommendations are. And that included, it included not only the community planning documents, but county long-range transportation plan, regional non-motorized priorities, and then MDOT's 5-year transportation plan, which gets updated annually. Thanks. Another portion of the traffic collection and review. This is kind of interesting. We used a company, an application called Streetlight Data, and it's big data. It's an assessment of big data. And it uses the GPS and cell phone data that they can collect from your cell phones and from GPS components in a lot of commercial vehicles. So we were able to actually track origin destination information without having to go out and do an old time study origin destination where you used to hand out postcards to motorists or commuters on street corners and ask them, please send this in. You don't have to do that anymore. So we use this very powerful tool by Streetlight Data. So we could look at volumes, movements, peak hour, origin and destination patterns, and that helped us assess future growth. So the image here on the screen, it might be hard to see, but in your packets, I hope it's legible. So this is an example on Silver Lake Road where we looked at the green volume on the left was the total number of vehicles going eastbound on Silver Lake. And then we were able to figure out, using Streetlight Data, we could see how many of those vehicles peeled off to destinations within the US 2023 interchange, local destinations, and then how many continued further east. Went right past the interchange and we're headed east. The reason that was important is because we wanted to see how much is, seeking these local destinations and how much is actual regional traffic. We shared this information with MDOT because there's a parallel study going on for the I-75 corridor to the east. And they also acknowledge some of the ties, some of the relationships with US 23. So we're kind of overlapping a little bit. But we have coordinated with those folks so that they have our data and we've got some of their data. And if you're not familiar with it, it's probably going to be published. I think the draft is already on MDOT's website, but the final should be published very soon, probably about the same time ours will be published. But that was interesting to see, and we shared that with them because especially up closer by Hill and Grand Blanc, they wanted to see where the traffic was headed easterly. And we could also look at parallel north-south roads as well to see if some of the traffic that was coming easterly, and not just at this location, but of all the major local cross streets, how much was avoiding US 23 and using the local streets. And also how much is using US 23 like a local road and getting off at the very next ramp, which is causing a lot of merge weave issues. So that was a really powerful tool using Streetlight Data. Next, please. We're structuring the report to identify short and long-term alternatives, not only for the US 23 corridor and the interchanges, but like I mentioned before, the actual 2-mile segment of the local roadway corridor. The 23 corridor will have safety recommendations, signing and pavement marking recommendations, some suggestions on how to improve the merge weave movements. At the interchanges, we've estimated everything from a total reconstruction to more easily attainable traffic signal modernization and minor operational improvements. You'll see this in the next slides. And then the local roadway corridors I already mentioned, improving progression of traffic using signal modernization and optimization, access management, and maybe improving non-motorized facilities as well. Next. I don't have all of the interchanges here listed. Don't have all the interchanges. I'm starting at Thompson Road. I believe that was one's on the southern end of this study would probably be of most interest to you guys. Thompson Road, there's a separate study going on for that has actually moved into design phase, and that, if you're not already aware, it's to construct dual roundabouts at that interchange at where the ramp termini are coming off of US 23. But we looked at the operations on a short-term basis. We had some short-term solutions that we would suggest implementing before the roundabouts get constructed. These are low cost, and it's going to be several years before those roundabouts get built. So in the meantime, these are some pretty minor improvements that will result in, I think, a noticeable improvement on traffic flowing in this interchange. Next, please. Again, I mentioned the long-term solution is the dual roundabouts that is under design already. So the interchange at North and Torrey Roads, again, short-term solution is signal optimization, extending the right turn storage length on the US 23 off-ramps. Kind of minor, just to get the traffic further off of the ramps and the deceleration lanes from the freeway. And then improving pavement markings, especially on the southbound exit, that southbound exit onto North Road. The crash history wasn't super high, but But when you're out there, you see all the runoff tracks in the shoulders, so we know that they're near misses. And that's where the pavement markings come in, and see some advanced signing to make motorists aware of that sharp curve coming up. The long-term solutions are roundabouts. We modeled a roundabout at both the northbound exit and the southbound exit. They work really well, they move traffic, and that is our recommendation. We also have construction estimates that will assist MDOT and the communities to seek scenic or safety or long-term road funding for them. Silver Lake Road, the short-term solutions, looking to update signage, pavement marking on Silver Parkway, and then improve the signal timings at southbound US 23 ramps, Fenway Drive, and Poplar Street. So these are the only short-term solutions we can recommend at this time, because the next phase of the long-term recommendations require that Silver Lake be widened to a 5-lane section. So the concepts for the widening have already been done by the city. Funding was a problem, but we know that that's a priority for them, and they're gonna be going forward with that. And once they do that, once they get going on that 5-lane section, next please, we have some suggestions on how to improve the intersections at the northbound exit ramps, as well as Fenway and Poplar. So the first bullet is that the city of Fenton intends to widen Silver Lake Road. We understand that's going to happen. And once that is done, then we recommend doing signal optimization, adding the roundabout. We looked at a couple options. Looking at a roundabout at, just the roundabout at US 23 ramps. It doesn't help because you still have the Fenway intersection there at Silver Lake. And the backup from Fenway flowed into the roundabout, so that wasn't a good option. The second one was 2 roundabouts, and one right at the northbound US 23 exit ramp and Fenway, which isn't shown up there because it didn't work so good. Not so good at all. But we vetted it to make sure that it was not a good option. And then the last one was to build a roundabout at the northbound ramps, but close North Fenway Drive and reroute it to the east and south so that it aligns with Poplar. And we came up with that concept independently. Then we spoke to the city of Fenton. They already had something in the works for that. They've already started purchasing right-of-way for this, and they're on board with it. So we estimated that, we costed it out, and we'll provide that information in this study. Owen Road, the levels of service were fairly good at Owen Road, so we were going to recommend as a short-term solution, signal optimization for the northbound US 23 off-ramp, and just extending the right turn storage lane as a short-term solution. And then as a long-term solution, which is the next slide, the long-term solution is just to add an additional left turn lane. And this would be needed as the traffic volumes grow. The long-term solutions, we looked at a 25-year outlook. So you probably wouldn't need that now. You need it maybe 5 or 10 years later. I do want to note that as we finalize the report and this study, and we put it up on the website, we're going to organize it so that when you go to the homepage, you can go to a drop-down menu and click on whichever corridor or interchange you're interested in. You don't have to go through 600 pages of the study and try to find it. So I just added that slide to let you know that once it is uploaded, it should be very easy to use. You should be able to refer to specific corridors and share that information with others in your community. And that's all I had. I know that was very fast. If you have any questions, be happy to take them.
I do. Do you have a timeline for construction? Or does each project have their own?
So this is just a study. So once there's no funding for it,
Okay.
there's no funding for anything, but that's why we wanted to make sure that there were short-term recommendations and long-term recommendations. So if a small amount of money or a grant can be applied for to do a short-term, this study will show you what kind of benefit you get by that investment. And then the long-term, again, those are some pretty big costs, especially for the roundabouts and all.
You had said that Fenton had already had some of this in their work, so I thought that there might be some projects that are already funded.
Oh, Just,
That's really what I was referring to.
oh, the Owen Road, right, that's just outside, that's outside of, is it to the west of our project limits?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the, Owen, City of Fenton was just awarded a signal optimization for Owen Road for 2029. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
4 years in advance, but, they are, I think she was just talking about Silver Lake Road only.
Gotcha, yep. Right, so City of Fenton has the concepts for the widening, that widening, but I'm not aware of funding being captured yet for that.
Thank you.
Great information.
Very good information, thank you. I'm good, thank you.
What's that?
Thank you. Anyone in the audience have any comments, questions?
It's exciting. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on tonight, we have a public hearing for Class C liquor license consideration for 117 North Bridge. MM&E Holdings, better known as Linden Brewing. We'll open the public hearing at 6:50, and I'll turn it over to our city manager for a brief background.
So yeah, tonight you guys have in front of you, and you'll be acting on it later on, but right now, the public hearing is we just received public comment specific to the consideration of the Class C liquor license. We're actually proposing something a little bit different with this Class C. The city has one quota license still left available, and we're proposing a development agreement per se, so that way it allows them to achieve what they need to, and we retain the liquor license if and when they discontinue it. Our committee did meet and are making the recommendation for approval tonight. So that's really the other information you guys have seen in the packet, so I'm happy to field any questions that you might have.
Are there any comments and questions from the audience regarding liquor license, Class C liquor license for Linden Brewing Company? You may.
My first time.
I didn't see you back there.
There she is.
Hi there, I'm Sandra Savari, and I'm representing Linden Brewing tonight, and we just wanted to say thank you for considering this for us. The biggest feedback, now that we're gonna open almost a year, is that there are many times those people walk in, and when they see that we only have beer, they leave, because we've learned we're more a restaurant than we are a brewery. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, so we don't wanna extend our hours, we're more so just looking like to offer like a margarita on tap, or like a Moscow Mule, just more variety so that we can attain the clientele and like help what they want. Like a seltzer, snack in the tea, like we're providing, we're not looking to like, we still wanna be family friendly, not like doing shots, things of that nature. And we're very much open to the public feedback, what you guys would like to see, we're very, open to any ideas that you guys have as well. So we're just wanting to make sure that we can stay here in the city and be successful and make it work. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience? Council will take this back up further on down, so we'll address it then. Hearing and seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 6:53. In the packet tonight, we have correspondence. We have a couple of letters from residents. One of the residents is here tonight. We'll listen to her in a few minutes here under public comment. Moving on to public comment. Any person wishing to address the city council during a meeting will get 3 minutes under public comment. When the public comment is approached on the agenda, the individual wishing to speak will be called upon. Utilizing a filled out comment card, which are available in the back room if you have not filled one out already and would like to speak tonight. Remarks should be addressed to the presiding officer, and it is not time for debate, but for questions or comments for council and or staff questions. Questions will be answered if the information is readily available tonight, later on in staff comments or council comment. If answers are not available during the meeting, council or staff will contact the individual within 48 hours and respond to the questions within 10 days when information becomes available. With that being said, we will get started tonight with Chris Kenyon.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may.
Aye.
As you know, the amended rules of procedure on the consent agenda this evening for consideration and approval. I did want want to acknowledge the revised public comment cards reflecting the checkboxes as discussed for general comment and questions have been made available for use by the public this evening. We ask anyone wishing to speak to please complete and submit a public comment card under the general public comment, which is now, as well as any business items in which public comment is extended. This will just help staff to make sure all questions are answered and allow us to follow up accordingly.
Everybody understand that? Anything that's on the agenda later on that you would like to speak on also requires a comment card, please. Ms. Kenyon, feel free.
Thanks. Can you hear me? Am I on? I've been thinking about this for a while. And there's been a lot of discussion lately about answering questions, being transparent, this type of thing. So I just like to share some thoughts. I understand that not all answers are available at the moment, but I think the city staff makes a good effort to answer questions during the meeting. My issue is that meeting minutes do not always reflect the answers that are given at the meeting. For example, at the LOCI meeting on the 24th, there was a public comment about the 501c3. The minutes do not reflect an answer, only that it was addressed. Now, I was there, so I know what the answer was, but not everybody was. Council meeting on March 10th. The manager and the police chief responded to various public comments. However, the comments that they responded to were not noted, nor were their answers. It just said they responded to the comments. I remember the days when meeting minutes were almost word for word and published in the paper. We don't do that anymore. But I think residents should be able to get a better idea on the what's and how's the city is addressing various issues with a little bit more detail. I feel a lot of the complaints about transparency could be addressed if citizens go to the meeting minutes and they understand what happened at the meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you. Cheryl Phillips.
Cheryl Phillips, Linden. At the March 5th, 2025 Linden School Board meeting, the general fund budget overview was presented. At video marker 5319, which is posted on YouTube /@Linden, Michigan, they discussed the rising cost of city and sewer water. This increase in water rates has also impacted the Linden School District. I would hope the board considered this when making the decision to transition to county water. My question is, should Linden residents be concerned about yet another out-of-pocket expense? Do you anticipate an increase in school taxes due to the higher water rates affecting our district? Thank you.
Elizabeth Batts. And for reference, folks, letters are in the packet.
Good evening, council. Thank you for including this in your agenda. My name is Elizabeth Bass. I'm a co-owner of a home at 246 Chestnut Way in Chestnut Grove subdivision. I have concerns as well as neighbors who live next to this pond. It's a maintenance storm drain system / retention pond next to our properties. There's safety issues that have been imposed on my family and my property, the foundation of my home and personal property that is on this property, I'm sorry. I'm asking for the city to enforce the HOA to abide by their bylaws written that we pay dues for, including Article 5, which requires them to maintain the common elements such as ponds, and Article 3, which is to rebuild or replace damaged property. In reference to number 1, I believe the infrastructure of this storm drain belongs to the city of Linden. This storm drain is clogged with debris, which has caused the water to rise, flooding onto the property and properties next to the pond. There's 2 homes, one on each side of this pond, and both of them are having issues with this water damage. Recently, a tree has fallen out, a dead tree, out of this pond and just missed the shed on my property. Number 1, the storm drain system needs improvement. It's urgent attention to have the debris cleaned. This pond has not been cleaned out since I've lived there, okay? The water maybe can be redirected or have a retention wall put in place to stop the overflow onto our properties. Number 2, the flooding has caused a safety concern overly, more importantly than flooding. This dead tree just missed the shed, like I said. The concern is that there are other dead trees ready to fall that are in this pond, and I don't want a Howe nature incident happening. I have grandchildren and pets. One of these trees could very well hit and fall and damage my home. Something needs to be done. This is something that is very important, because when safety is involved for the well-being of my family, this is an urgency for me. I felt it's necessary to gain support from the city to enforce the HOA to follow the bylaws of getting this pond cleaned out. And I have photos here that I would like you to review of the water that is sitting in the yard, causing. This is ridiculous. And this is all because of the retention pond has not been cleaned. The debris, I don't know if this is the city's issue to clean the debris or the HOA. Somebody needs to attend to it.
Ms. Beth, we have a 3-minute limit right now. We will be bringing this up
Okay.
later on in the meeting.
Okay. Well, I'm just concerned. I'm concerned that somebody's gonna get hurt. And I pay dues to these HOAs, and they're not doing their job.
We thank you. We'll be addressing this a little bit later on.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments tonight? Hearing and seeing none, public comments closed. Moving on to consent agenda. There is a request to move the car show down to new business. So we'll pull the car show from the consent agenda. Item C, move it down to item E for new agenda, new business. So, remaining on the consent agenda, city council meeting minutes for March 10th, street corner collection for Linden High School project graduation for Saturday, May 3rd, the amended city council rules of procedure, and the financial reports. Motion to accept the consent agenda?
Make the motion.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Dick,
Yes?
Miller,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Simons,
Yes.
Link.
Yes.
Motion carries. We have no unfinished business. New business, Class C liquor license, retention agreement. This leads into the Class C liquor license.
So tonight, we're asking for, the first order of business for the liquor license is asking council to consider for approval the retention agreement. Mike has had an opportunity to review. We drafted this, like I said, to help them achieve what they need to, and the committee did discuss and are recommending for approval. So we're just looking for approval tonight on the agreement.
Yes, Mike, you got any other additional comments with that?
I reviewed it. What you have before you is acceptable to me.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the audience on this item? Since we have no comment cards, I'm assuming none. Come back to the board. Brenda,
No other questions, thanks.
Denise,
No, I think it's a great idea.
Adam?
I have to agree with the agenda. Same.
All right. Need a motion to accept the Class C liquor license retention agreement.
Make the motion.
Second.
Link,
Yes.
Simons,
Yes.
Dick,
Resolution 4-25, approval of Class C liquor license for 117 North Bridge, Linden Brewing Company.
Again, this is a requirement for the state of Michigan to finalize. Once we get approval from council, this will be submitted. And so we are recommending for approval tonight.
Again, since we have no comment cards, I'm assuming there's no comments from the audience. Thank you. Back to the board. Denise?
I agree.
Tom?
Agree.
Jerry?
I'm fine, yep.
Brenda? All right, in that case, motion to approve resolution 4-25.
I support that.
Is there a second?
I second.
Lee?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Simons?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Linden Brewing.
Thank you.
Next up to the state.
Yeah.
Item C, amendments to Chapter 50, the garbage and refuse disposal of codified ordinances of City of Linden.
Mayor Pro Tem Dick, this is what we discussed at the last meeting. They reflect the revisions that are necessary. Mike has had an opportunity to review. Just asking for approval tonight.
Thank you. Comments from the audience? Okay, back to council. Tom, you good? Jerry?
Good.
Brenda?
I reviewed it. Thank you for making the updates. I appreciate it. I think it's good to go.
And Denise?
And I agree with Brenda.
All right, I agree. I think we've addressed everyone's concerns. Motion to adopt. the
Okay.
amendments.
I'm second.
Miller?
Yes.
Simons?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Everybody's so happy to vote.
We're getting it together.
All right. Now we're moving on to the segment. 2024-2025 road ban overban project. Dennis?
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, you have before you tonight a motion requesting approval of our 24 and 25 budget year crack seal program. As is mentioned in the memo, crack filling programs are an important part of municipal road maintenance. They provide an affordable step in slowing roadway deterioration by keeping surfaces sealed from infiltration of water and other foreign materials. So you'll recall that we did this originally, this consortium bid process back in 23 for the 23 and 24 crack filling program, and we're doing it again this year for the 24, 25, and potentially 25, 26 budget years. So I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have at this time.
Well, I know Jerry had some questions, so we'll start down there.
Actually, I had talked to Don beforehand, most of my questions are resolved. The only thing is just, in case some people hadn't read the documentation, the work will not happen between 7 and 8 in the morning, 4 to 6 in the evening, basically Linden rush hours.
Correct.
Thank you.
So, also, there's a delay between the first truck and the final truck so that it's cured, so that it's not gonna stick to your tires and splash onto your vehicles or anything like that, so.
Yeah, just to expand on that a bit, we encourage people, so there's typically a trail vehicle that tries to keep vehicular traffic beyond the work area. It's what's called a mobile operation, so it's like cold patching, it just progresses down the roadway. And we encourage folks not to leapfrog between vehicles, because if you do, you probably will get tar on your tires, and I'm sure you won't be happy about that. So just pay attention. Once it's clear to pass the entire convoy, if you will, do that in a safe manner, and you should avoid all the hot tar.
And the one final thing is, will there be any way to advance notice to let people know, hey, this is the time frame this is gonna be happening?
We can try to work, with the public best we can. Sometimes it's so weather dependent, because the weather has to be almost perfect in order for them to do it. Road temperatures, air temperature, it can't have moisture, you know, so sometimes we'll get a very last minute notification from the company of, hey, I'll be there today. But if we have a notification, we'll try to put it out on social media and some of the programs that we practice. Let the residents know.
Any other questions, Jerry?
I think that's it.
Brenda?
Yeah, just one question. Being part of the consortium, do you know about how much we saved by bundling?
You know, it's hard to say, as I mentioned to Councilor Link, had we gone out on our own to do this, it undoubtedly would have been more expensive, but in addition to being more expensive, the likelihood of getting this number of bidders probably wouldn't happen, because, you know, they basically go from bidding on, say, a $40,000 or $50,000 contract, as opposed to, you know, maybe a $500,000 contract. So, you certainly get more attention when you do bundle with these other communities.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What areas do you see in Linden being, having this applied?
So there's the focus, we're moving on from some of the areas that we did in the 2023-24 budget. Specifically, we're probably gonna be spending quite a bit of this on Bridge Street. So, and there are areas that actually move beyond maintenance. So there are sections on, especially on North Bridge. South Bridge will be a great candidate for this product. North Bridge, there's sections that are beyond crack filling. So what residents may see is we'll do sections of road, but then all of a sudden it may stop. And that's because the road is in too poor condition. We're just sort of wasting money at that point. So you'll see some of that, and then I'll probably be coming back to you at a later date on some of those patchwork in some of those specific areas. So we will be moving from North Bridge and then back into some of the neighborhoods that haven't had crack sealing recently.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Tom?
That was my question, is what she asked, so, thank you.
Well, it's a very good program, it's worked for us well in the past. Thank you for bundling, because it does look like we saved quite a bit. With that, are there any questions from the audience? You know, we have no comments? Okay. Need a motion to approve the 2024-2025 road overband and crack filling program.
I move to approve the 2024-25 road overband and crack filling program in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Roll call.
Simon,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Link,
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Back up for application of use of public property for the Sunset Cross Classic Car Cruise In Thursday, May 15th through October 30th, on Thursdays. This was brought to you, new business from the consent agenda, just because there were some comments and concerns over usage of the public parking lot behind the Sunset Corals. But I think that's already been worked out. Want to give us a highlight? Mr. Manager, and then Jerry, you can address your concerns.
Sure, if I understand it right, it looks like, Greg has agreed to stop it at the Masonic Temple, is that correct?
Where are you gonna cut it off at, Greg?
Basically, right at my sidewalk.
Right between us?
Okay.
Yeah, in between the brewery, myself and the brewery, and that's exactly what I did last year anyways.
Okay, and the parking lot to the north, that will be open and available from Walmart.
Exactly.
Is that,
Allowing use of the overflow lot, on the old Walmart property.
yeah, the old Walmart lot will be, the overflow lot, and parking will be available at the, playground too, so, perfect. Any other concerns, Mr. Lane?
Nope, I just spoken with, some of the businesses on the street, and they were concerned about it impacting their business as far as no parking for the people to get to their business, but talking with Greg, doing this should leave, space open for people to get where they wanna go.
Perfect. Tom, any,
I think it'd be nice to see the cars back.
Denise?
I agree.
All right, Brenda?
No other questions, but I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add, Graham?
No, this will be, our 5th year, so it just keeps continuing to grow, so.
Thanks for doing it.
People are, I'm
It's
already
fun.
getting people messaging, calling, wanting to know when it's gonna start. And last year, people were coming from all over the state. It wasn't just local cars. They're coming from almost, I had one from, a couple from the Mackinac Bridge area, all over Detroit, everywhere's coming.
We'll also be sure to make sure our staff doesn't park in the regular lot on Thursdays, so they're out of the way.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, in that case, we need to amend, a motion to approve the application to use public property for Sunset Car Cruise.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And this concludes new business for tonight. Manager's update.
Just a few things to update you guys on. Linden project will hopefully be starting, in the near future, in the next couple weeks, weather permitting. I know one of the priorities is the city lot, behind City Hall. Once they do that, that will be out of commission for a little while, so, EV, stations as well as the regular parking will be down for a couple of months until that project's done. I know everybody's anxious to see that project completed. Ralston Road project will most likely be after Memorial Day at this point, so more to come on that. I know Don's asked for, some schedules and stuff, so still waiting on that. Last week, our HTC did approve amendment to the mill application for exterior renovations, help soften the look of the addition a little bit, some brick wainscoting and windows, so that was approved last week. Our Civic Plus, I know Tara at the last meeting asked how many people we had signed up. We have about 111 users signed up right now. We are trying to do some big pushes to get more people signed up, so tell your neighbors, if you haven't signed up, sign up yourself, please. We're working on finalizing our upcoming newsletter. Our treasurer's department is also working on finalizing the updated water bills. As you guys all know, we've been working on trying to make sure that that's broke down and have better explanation on it. And it's gonna be a continuous work in progress. Apologize. So they're working to finalize that for the April billing. As you guys all know, any future rate increases have been paused until we can do that reevaluation with PFM. PFM has been hard at work. We've had multiple meetings, even as early as today. It's taken a little bit longer for the reevaluation of the rates, but you have to understand that PFM also has to have the time to be able to gather the historical information that the previous financial firm had, and so took them a little bit longer to get up to speed and understand the full extent of the historical information. So we're hopeful that we'll have something back from them in April. So that's kind of where we're at this point. I'm happy to field any other questions if you guys have any for me.
Not any.
No questions, thank you. Good job.
Denise?
No, not this time.
Tom?
No, not at this time, thank you.
Rick?
Oh, I'm good.
I'm right into the bus.
Yeah, public comment.
Yeah.
Speaking specifically about the Chestnut, or,
Chestnut, and, you said, you touched on EV chargers, so I'm gonna throw you down under the bus to explain,
okay.
explain the EV charger program really fast. It's been a big topic lately, and how we, got the grant for that, how it was funded.
well, I'll start us off and Don fill in any blanks that I missed or whatever, but this project was something that Don actually finished up after he started. It was something that was identified from previous council that they wanted to explore. We captured a consumer's energy grant to help offset the cost for it. The EV charging stations, right now, the monthly expense is paid for out of the Downtown Development Authority. It's been about a full year since the EV stations have been up and running. We wanted to gather some information to see if they were gonna be used, if so, how frequent. And at the last at the last DDA meeting, they talked about, now that they have a full year's worth of data, how they can kind of shape the program now moving forward. And it looks like they're gonna do 2-hour time slots, it looks like. And then after that, anything above 2 hours, they do have to pay for. So, anything else on that, I guess?
I think you covered it.
Yeah, is there something in addition to?
No, that was it. People were asking, I believe, how it's paid for, and I know we captured a grant for it, and I know the DDA's been paying for it, so.
So, initial installation costs were, offset by a grant from Consumers Energy. General fund paid, any remaining costs, and I honestly don't know if there was any remaining costs. I don't have that information in front of me. Can certainly get it for you. So initial, costs were paid for out of general fund, and then the monthly, consumer energy bills are paid for by the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority. So.
And then, Mrs. Babb's comments for her detention pond.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask Mike, I know her specific question was to, if the city can force the HOA, to maintain, what are your thoughts there? But, I go back to, I think we've had a discussion about this as well. The city can fall back on the site plan and the enforcement of the site plan originally. But as far as the, the enforcement of the HOA, what are your thoughts there?
So, we're limited in our enforcement. We can't enforce the HOA, rules and covenants by themselves. To the extent that the city approved something, in the development of that HOA, there may be some enforcement power there. I'd have to look at that and know some more about it. And of course, I'm happy to look into it.
Yeah, I know we have the site plan, I know the site plan can be enforced, so. And that'll cover the detention pond.
I would like to ask, who is responsible to clean the storm drain management system? Is it the city or is it the HOA?
So I believe the area that you're referring to is the balancing between the two retention ponds that are there. That falls under the jurisdictions of the homeowners association. I think it's a common element that it's referred to as in that area. So they're responsible to maintain the detention, retention areas themselves, as well as the mechanisms that are used to balance those. So.
Okay, so the city's not responsible to clean the debris away from the drain system, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I guess the best thing I'm looking for is the city to give me any kind of resources or help or direction that we could get to help the HOA. This has been 3 years.
Sure.
It's taken over the yard, the
Have
water.
you reached out to the state of Michigan?
I did write a letter to the state representative, yes, and I'm getting ready to write Gretchen.
Okay, Eagles specifically, because they approve these retention detention ponds, so that might be an avenue that you want to reach out as well.
Eagles, my question though is, isn't there fines that the city can issue to the HOA, or?
That is something that our city attorney's gonna look at with the city manager, now that we're aware. We're gonna look at that, where we come into would be enforcing the site plan, what they have agreed to maintain on the site plan, the legal documentation the city has. So we will look at that now that we are aware of it.
Yes, and also I just wanna add that there are companies that are hired by HOAs that clean these yearly for
There are,
several
we've
cities.
gone through this with a couple other HOAs in the city.
Yes.
Same thing, we don't normally, as a city, keep record and track of all the HOAs in town and how they maintain. But we will, now that we are aware of it, you
Okay.
will expect a follow-up from the city
Okay, I
manager
appreciate
and our
that, and I
DPW
would-
director.
I would also like to know who would be responsible in the event that someone was harmed or my house was damaged because of this. Who would I go after? The HOA. That's it. I can't, we've been writing them letters for 3 years. We get nothing. So you said Eagles, is that what you said?
It's part of the state of Michigan.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Part of the DNR.
Thank you.
With that, we'll segue into the city attorney's report.
2 comments. Brad forwarded me an email that cited Michigan statute. And the citation was the 117.4F, which is labeled permissible city charter provisions. And this is in relation to the water rates and the argument about whether or not this needs to be approved by the electors, which is a carryover from the last meeting where I addressed this. What that statute says under that title is that a city charter may include a provision which requires a 3/5 vote of the electors anytime you're dealing with utilities like that. And I think the question was, well, doesn't that provide a basis for requiring a vote of the people? It doesn't. The title of it says permissible city charter provisions. And the section that calls for a 3/5 vote says it quote, may be included in a city charter. Your city charter doesn't include that language. So that doesn't apply. The other was, there's some discussion that some city councilors may not have, or may have a conflict in voting on the water rates because they're not connected to the city system and they have private wells. That's been brought to my attention before. There is no conflict of interest. Your city charter your city charter says each member of the council shall vote on each question before the council for a determination, except that no member shall vote on any question upon which that member has a conflict of interest or financial interest other than as a citizen of the city as determined by the city attorney. If we were to follow the logic that city council, you cannot vote on something, on water rates because you have a well, you couldn't vote on water rates if you're connected to the city, or similar such arguments. You wouldn't be able to vote on half of the things that you vote on. Conflict of interest is something that is unique to you, that is not shared by other members of the community. And I'm not aware of there being a city councilor who has a well, and that's unique across all the citizens. So there is no conflict of interest. And anytime these issues are raised, they're referred to me by the manager. I address them. I may not talk about them publicly, although I'm happy doing so, but all of these issues have been thoroughly vetted. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mike.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the city attorney?
No.
Thank you. Moving on to department reports in the packet tonight. We have the police department report, code enforcement, fire department, and the DPW reports.
They look great.
Council comments and reports. Go back down to you, Ms. Brenda.
They look great.
They look great.
Thank you. Thank you. Very thorough. Sorry, I jumped the gun there. I read through all that. It looks really good. Thanks for the detail, guys. Really nice. That's it.
Oh, we're on council reports. Any council comments?
I do not
That's
have
it?
any council comments.
Denise?
I went to a council, a meeting out in Lansing this weekend, and it was very informative, and it gave me a lot of insight on what my job is. So thank you.
Tom, anything tonight?
Yeah, I'm on the Downtown Historic Board, and we had a meeting on Wednesday, and it was a very productive meeting. The things they brought up was nice. It looks very positive, and it was a very good attendance to the meeting, so I was happy to see that. And I hope that people keep coming to these meetings, because that's the input's what's keeping us going. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem. I did have one last thing to say. It's widely known now that we're not having the Back to the Bricks car show in Fenton and Linden now. And so Southern Lakes Parks and Rec, we've talked about that over and over again with the board. They say they're including other cities now. They want to give other cities a chance. So That's kind of the gist of it. Not that there won't be a car show sometime in the future in Fenton and Linden. We don't know yet. It's something we're discussing, so don't give up hope. It might not be called Back to the Bricks, it might be called Cruising the Streets or Cruising Small Towns, but we'll figure something out.
Or Sunset Coral Car Cruise. Right?
Yes. Or Sunset Coral.
Now we're thinking.
That just might be it. Thank you.
Mr. Link?
Yeah, I also went to the historic meeting and also the Parks and Rec meeting. There's a lot of, I think there's 5 projects they're doing this year, or 5 little community, get-togethers of, I believe one of them might be kayaking. There's some different ones that involve kids and other ones that are geared more towards adults, so it was, interesting, something to look into if you wanna get involved with, some of that. It was a good meeting. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's been an informative evening. Tara, with regards to school taxes, we don't have anything to do with school taxes, so.
So what's gonna like, you won't be notified
We-
that?
The city has nothing to do with school tax rates at all. We don't set them, we don't have any input on them or anything. We just collect them for them.
Okay, like I said, they discussed it, how they weren't expecting the water increase, so,
We
yeah,
just collect them, unfortunately.
okay. Thank you.
We don't have a closed session tonight. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Any students